Cecelia recently learned that she was adopted. Before the death by car accident, Cecilia's mother and father informed her of the news. Cecelia grew up with loving, caring parents who never let her feel like she wasn't really their own child. Cecilia's real mother and her twin sister lived together, and they had recently moved to Chicago, Illinois. Cecelia was quite alarmed and upset to know her real mother had gave her up for adoption when she kept her twin sister. She was disappointed and angry at her mother for doing what she did. Cecelia had considered visiting her real family, but what would she say when she got there? Her mother had already gave her up once when she was just a baby. Could she just show up after so many years? But after giving the matter some thought, Cecelia decided to meet with her sister. After all, her sister had nothing to do with it. It was her mother's fault. When Cecelia got there, she recognized her sister immediately. They looked quite alike. However, Cecelia realized that she and her sister were fraternal twins and not identical twins. Cecelia knew she couldn't just blatantly show up and say she was her twin sister. She planned to befriend her sister before she would let her know who she really was. But Cecelia wanted to avoid meeting her mother. On the next opportunity, when Cecilia's mother went out for work and her sister was home alone, she went over to the apartment and knocked on their door. Soon, her sister opened the door. She furrowed her brows and looked at Cecelia. "Why are you knocking on the door? There's a doorbell right there." Cecelia smiled. "Hi, I'm Cecelia. I live nearby. I saw that you're new here, and I was wondering whether you'd like to be friends." Her sister looked glad. She said, "Hello, I'm Madison. And sure, it's very kind of you to come by. I actually moved here with my mother 2 days ago. I don't really know anybody and have any friends here." Cecelia chuckled and said, "Don't have any friends? What are you talking about? You just made one right now." Madison politely asked, "Oh, right. Would you like to come in? My mother isn't home yet, but she'll be home soon." "Sure, thank you." Cecelia walked inside. She followed Madison down the hallway as she looked at pictures of Madison and her mother, and other beautiful paintings that hung on the wall. Madison took her to the living room where the two sat down on the couch. "So tell me about yourself. What do you like?" "Well, I don't go out much, but I like painting. There's quite a lot of paintings in the hallway, if you noticed. I painted them myself." "What? You must be joking. I thought those were painted by a professional." "I paint myself. When I saw those portraits, I knew they were a unique piece." "Are you serious? Wow, so we have something in common then." Cecelia and Madison began conversing. They gossiped about the latest trend, and the two were surprised to learn that they had a lot of similarities, apart from the fact that they looked a lot alike. "I moved here from California. I used to go to this ice cream shop quite often. I'll really miss having their special ice cream every week. I'm sure you'll find an even better ice cream shop here. I'm a little picky myself when it comes to food. I only have chocolate mint." Before Cecelia could finish her sentence, Madison interrupted. "Mint chip. You only like having chocolate mint chip ice cream. We have to go together then." Cecelia was taken aback. "How did you know?" "I guess we really do have a lot in common. You could be my sister." It had been nearly 2 hours the two had been talking. Cecelia took the chance to learn more about her real family. "I grew up with a single mother. My father passed away before I was born, so I never got to see him. But I've heard from my mother that he was an army officer." "I'm so sorry." "Don't be, it's all right." Cecelia thought perhaps it was time to reveal who she really was. "There is actually a reason why I came to meet you." "What's that?" There's a reason we have so many similarities. It's not only that we could be sisters, but we are sisters. Suddenly, Madison looked a little disturbed. What are you talking about? I'm my mother's only child. It's the truth, Madison. You're my twin sister. Your mother is my mother. All right, you're just creeping me out now. I think you should leave. Cecelia and Madison got into an argument over the matter, and before Cecelia could explain herself, Madison became enraged and got up from her chair. Get out of my house, now, and never show your face to me ever again. Cecelia realized it was her time to leave. And without another word, she got up and left. Madison closed the door and checked the lock twice. She couldn't wait for her mother to come back home from work. She planned to tell her mother all that had happened. What kind of neighborhood did her mother bring her to? People around here were crazy. Maybe that's why they were lonely, roaming around trying to make family members out of strangers. Madison was freaked out. She peered through the peephole to check if Cecelia had left. When she saw no one on the other side, she was relieved. Madison went to her room and finished up her homework before her mother would arrive. Around 7, the doorbell rang. Madison ran to the door and was about to open it, when she stopped in her tracks. What if it was that crazy girl again? But Madison was relieved when she saw it was her mother. She opened the door and let her in. Madison was about to start blabbering out everything to her mother when she noticed her mother looked quite upset. Her eyes were red and teary. She looked like she had cried a lot. When Madison saw her mother's terrible, devastated state, she decided not to tell her about the creep that visited her, at least not yet. Madison watched as her mother silently went into the kitchen and started to prepare dinner. She was awfully quiet, and Madison couldn't understand what was bothering her. Had something happened at work? Madison and her mother sat down at the dining table, but Madison realized her mother wasn't eating. The food was going cold, and her mother still hadn't eaten a morsel. Madison cleared her throat and tried to grab her mother's attention. Mother, is something wrong? Madison's mother looked up from her plate. As she spoke, tears rolled down her cheek. Madison, dear, there's something I need to tell you. Something I've kept hidden from you all these years. What is it, Mother? I met your father back in California when I went to college. I was nearly 18, just about your age. But I wasn't really into meeting other men and dating. Your father was the first man that I ever got involved with. And we soon got married. You know your father had joined the army. It hadn't even been a year that we had gotten married that your father was called to provide his services overseas. While your father had been away, I discovered I was pregnant. And not just with you, I was pregnant with twins. Your father never returned from that trip. I was still very young. I didn't know how I would raise both of you. I went through a lot of hardship just raising you alone. At that time, I had a huge student loan from college I still needed to pay off. My parents weren't in a great financial state that they would be able to support me and my 2 daughters. I was lost. I didn't know what to do. I considered quitting college to take care of both of you. I wanted to give both of you a good life. But if I didn't finish my studies and worked an odd job overtime only to get the minimum salary, what kind of life would I have been able to give you? And what kind of mother would I have been with no time to even see my children? When you and your sister were born, I named you two, Madison and Cecelia. I came to the decision to give one of you up for adoption. This way I would at least be able to give both of my daughters a good life. I would be able to manage raising one child, while the other could be raised in a good family. I soon found a couple who wanted to adopt my Cecelia. They were lovely people, and I trusted them with my child. But when they adopted her, They made an agreement that the adoption should be kept confidential from the child. Cecelia wasn't to know who her real parents were, and I wasn't allowed to contact her or meet her. It's been agonizing long years. I tried to raise you with my best and finish my studies at the same time. But since I've paid off my loan, and now I'm in a better financial position, I wanted to meet your sister once again, as you two are turning 18 soon. Your sister's foster family lives here in Illinois. Madison's mother started to break down again. She cried profusely. The only thing on Madison's mind was how she treated her sister, her real twin sister. But before Madison could say anything, her mother continued. I called up your sister's foster family this morning to know how she was doing. They told me that Cecelia passed away in a car accident 2 days ago. We were shifting to this house at the time, so they couldn't reach me when it all happened. Your sister is no more. Madison watched her mother weep continuously. She couldn't believe what she had just heard. If Cecelia passed away 2 days back, who had she spent the whole afternoon with? Who came to her apartment? Cecelia, dear child, soon you'll be turning 18, and your father and I think it's time you should know. What is it, Mother? Cecelia, we adopted you. What? What are you saying? This can't be. Click on the subscribe button and check out more awesome videos on our channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon because you know it's interesting.